Hi guys, there's a new Merowin mail and somewhat of an update, which is really cool because it has a couple of new announcements, including young Senya and some other previews for skins and I guess concepts of skins that we'll see upcoming in the future. But without further ado, let's get into it. The first thing we have to talk about is this young Senya character, who I know a lot of people have a little bit of debate back and forth about because, you know, it was attached to the World Championship that, you know, cheated and then he got, but whatever. In any case, the character still looks pretty cool from what we could tell. And also she's been designed, I don't know if more recently or with someone like HARSETTI in mind, but she's a Soul Weaver, which may be something that a lot of you guys are maybe conflicted about because she's not a damage dealer like her normal Senya, but it is young Senya, so it kind of makes sense. However, despite her stats, she has pretty, you know, or in her having decent speed and having decent defense, especially for a Soul Weaver. The big thing about her kit is actually her S2. Now, what her S2 basically has is a lot of explaining and reading, but the long story short of it is that she gains 40 fighting spirit at the start of battle, and if you have an earth elemental hero at the front of your team, which in this case they showcase through Alencia, you gain an additional 40 fighting spirit. And when you have 100 fighting spirit, you activate Help, which is this big AoE attack that grants you, or grants Senya specifically, an extra turn to the caster. And it deals a decent amount of damage, equivalent to a max amount or a certain amount of the caster's max HP. Now, this is alongside being given special friendship, which is another additional, you can think of it like a 3F proc or an additional damage proc, which is also really impactful. But the main thing that we need to talk about here is that when you activate Help, you also dispel all debuffs from the caster before activating. Now, if you're curious why this is so impactful, you'll see in a moment, because as they showcase through the video, very like immediately following this, the character that they showcase fighting against new Senya is HARSETTI. And now the thing about fighting against oh gosh, I didn't realize the quality of this was so bad. But the reason why fighting against new HARSETTI is such a pain right now is because she's always guaranteed, in most cases, to take the first turn. Well, actually, outside of Zeo, she's always guaranteed to take the first turn. And look at this big AoE attack that you basically have nothing you can do about, or there's nothing that you can avoid. Now, assuming that, again, you have a grass unit or an earth element unit in the front, boom, immediately you slap back all the damage that you would have otherwise taken, or all the debuffs that you otherwise would have taken from HARSETTI, and you cleanse your team. Now, apologies for that. Now, if the only thing that you got from that was the cleanse, it is what it is. It's still pretty impactful, I would say. But look at how much damage that just did to the team. Now, of course, you're not going to kill someone like Flan because, well, she's Earth, and, you know, Flan is fire and has 100% evasion. But look at how much damage that did to characters like Ilanov, to Mort, and even HARSETTI herself. Now, this is super, super fantastic, and this isn't even accounting for the additional special damage that you give to the friendship unit up in the front. But alongside this, we also have her S3, which is really good too, which is that it's a continuous healing all debuff cleanse from all allies, in addition to the combat readiness push by 15%. I think this should actually be 20% if I'm not mistaken. I sometimes get confused by the way that the wording of this thing is, but I believe it's 20%. Now, if the cleanse from her S2 wasn't good enough already, and if for whatever reason you didn't want to, say, use someone like Alencia in the front anyways, this ability also gives you 20 fighting spirit, and in theory, if you take 2 more hits after that, since you gain 20 every time that you get hit, you could just forego having an earth unit in the front, from what we understand. Now, this is alongside, of course, being given continuous healing for 2 turns, which is also really fantastic and very helpful, unless, of course, you're fighting against additional enemies that strip. Now, the S1 is kind of the icing on the cake, where you have a random dual attack, which is kind of nice. And if you've ever run some of the team compositions that involve, or a lot of the arena team compositions right now, you'll know that having a dual attack in any sense of the word is really, really nice, because, well, it gives you access to, or having any sort of basic attack usage is helpful for someone like Flan, since then she gets to S1. And in this case, she's also giving combat readiness push to the caster, which is really nice. But the soul burn increases the effect of this combat readiness to everyone on the team. Now, somehow, despite the character looking like one of the best options against HARSETTI, that isn't the even most insane part of this character at all, because as I move my camera for a moment, her artifact looks even more broken if you're someone that plays Arena, Guild War, or any sort of, or trying to use any sort of defensive kind of Soul Weaver for, well, the effect that it does. What it reads is that it increases the health of the caster and the foremost ally, except for the caster, by 10%. And guys, I hate to break this to you, but that is broken. Other characters have used way worse artifacts for much less. And if you thought that someone like Senya was annoying, hitting you with a 41,000 HP S3, well, now add an additional 10% of that to whatever character you want. And now you have something ridiculous, like, I don't know, maybe 45,000. And the only thing that I'm not entirely sure about, apologies, because I'm still trying to understand how this works. I'm assuming that the increased health is not what they're referring to, as in the artifact's skill effect can only apply to one hero within a team. If that means that for whatever reason you can't use something like Prayer of Solitude or even Sweet Miracle alongside this, maybe this has a little bit less effectiveness. However, I think that in a lot of cases, the go-to for most players on Soul Weavers is just going to be Guardian Ice Crystal, which doesn't really, it's good, it's decent for the healing, but if I had to choose that between that or 20% extra HP on my team, I think there's some good value to this. Now, as I move myself over, I do want to say that there are plenty of characters that can use this, but the most annoying of them will be Ruel, who I think is actually probably the best, or one of the best arena defense characters in the game. And in Guild War, I admit that maybe this has a little bit less value, but in general, giving your bruisers 10% additional health alongside increasing the health of someone like Ruel by another 10% is already ridiculous and honestly super, super frustrating to play against. So this is likely going to be something that a lot of players will appreciate and, well, will want to take, especially since this is a limited character. Now, my overall thoughts for Senya is she looks like a must pull already because she's limited, or she should be limited if she's not. Apologies, but from what I understand, since it's like a character like this, she should be limited. But in addition to this, her artifact looks crazy, and that all this is not even talking about the fact that she deals with very effectively one of the strongest characters in the game right now, which is of course someone like HARSETTI. Now, this isn't to say that she doesn't have her weaknesses, because she does have fighting spirit issues, or she does deal with fighting spirit. So if you're someone that has ML Politis, you are going to have to deal with that. And I believe the same can be said for any character, whatever effect basically that affects resource generation. That could be kind of an issue specifically for young Senya, but especially if you're fighting in AI or situations where you're able to control who you bring into Guild War or Arena, this Senya character is going to be a fantastic answer to someone like HARSETTI. Hopefully, I pray to God that this is the thing that kills HARSETTI, because honestly, HARSETTI is honestly the worst character to play with and against in most cases. But let's also talk about the other things that were teased in this video. Now, one of the major things that they talked about in this is also somewhat of a, it looks like a new activity. I think this is some sort of event relating to young Senya, and it's using, of course, like the Ancient Inheritance tiles. This is pretty cool, honestly, because it's, something new from epicseven, and it's not just the traditional, hey guys, Ancient Inheritance once every 3 months, or hey guys, like Advent for the same thing, or for the same sort of rewards for the same thing, or for the second or third or fifth time in like 7 years, which is okay. This is pretty cool, and although it's not super, super unique, it is kind of nice to see that they're experimenting, and that's always a plus in my book. Now, the other thing that they talked about in this video is, well, the new skins, and guys, these skins look pretty crazy. I'm not gonna play too much of the audio, but this is the Ravi skin. I'll like hide my camera for a second so you get a full screen of this, but this looks insane. Like, I get it, a lot of people may think that this looks something similar to Architect Leica, but for me personally, I really like the way that Architect Leica, looks. And this axe is really sick looking axe, and this design looks fantastic. She's got like a cyborg looking tail, super cool. And that's not even talking about what I consider to be the best skin between the two, which is this Politis skin, which is so cool. Not because, you know, she has this whole like temple shrine sort of thing going on, but look at the little ghosts. You guys know, like the little ghosts that she has, the little dolls or whatever. I apologize, I'm not super caught up with, I don't know what the exact wording for it is, but it's like the dolls or the mechanical robots, whatever it is, the dolls that she has associated with her. They're super cute looking too, which is super, super nice. Now, I lied, because this is actually not the skin that I'm most excited for. It's the new World Arena epic skin, which is Captain Flan. Now, Pirate Captain Flan's skin is going to stir a lot of controversy, and I will be the first to say it. I think that when Smilegate puts in a new concept of a character or anything new in general to a game or into the game, I am on the side that including or adjusting the activity after the fact in almost 99.99% of cases, outside of something absolutely ridiculous, is a much better answer than what they do in most other cases. If you guys are unfamiliar with what they did with the whole Awakening update, which a lot of people, complained about and scrapped and caused them to scrap, that was not, in my opinion, the best way to use their resources. Now, again, I get it. The idea behind the concept was really bad, but in my opinion, having no content in those branching or in those months, instead of them just adjusting or making adjustments on the fly that a lot of community members had been vocalizing with, in my opinion, is not only like a little unusual, like I don't understand how they could justify just throwing away all their work, but it also makes no sense because, again, they could have just adjusted things and still made money off of it. Now, again, they did also provide compensation for these things, and the main reason why I'm bringing this up is because they did the same thing to the Pirate Captain Flan balance patch update, where instead of adjusting it because players are thinking, oh, hey, this is not that good, or this needs a little bit more tuning, they just got rid of it entirely, which, in my opinion, makes no sense. I know that there's players on both sides that agree or disagree with how good or how bad the update to Pirate Captain Flan was, but they've made worse changes and they've sat on worse changes in the game before, which makes, this sort of precedent make no sense. So with that, again, I'm not going to go too much into whether or not I think that Pirate Captain Flan's rework was good or not. That's not the point of this. However, I will say, my opinion, but I almost feel like this is an almost like objective kind of take, or not a very like hot take. Like, I think this is pretty lukewarm. The fact that we're getting a new Pirate Captain Flan skin, but not the changes to Pirate Captain Flan, makes no sense. Like, we have this absolutely fantastic, super cool looking skin. Like, let me make this absolutely clear. I think this is my favorite skin probably of all the World Arena skins. This is like, if you guys don't know, I'm like a big VTuber, like watcher, lover. Like, this is so reminiscent of, again, like someone like Marine or, Hoshino Marine and stuff. And I get it. I'm not like, I'm kind of a fronter, but like, I'm not like super caught up with everything regarding her, but like, this is such a cool looking skin. It reminds me so much of, her design, and I'm a big fan of it, honestly. It just feels a little bit weird that this Sea Witch Pirate Captain Flan skin is not associated with, or doesn't come with a balance patch update that they had already kind of set in stone, or they had already kind of thought out and were trying to use, that honestly might have made her usable or playable in a different way. Now, regardless of what the case is, I think everything that we've seen between young Senya, the new skins, all these look really cool. I love the new minigame, and well, once the new patch comes out, or once all the details for the new update comes out, I'll probably update it in the comment section. But that's it, guys. That's the video, or that's everything that we've been teased and announced in the Merowin's Express Mail. I really like the direction that they're taking with these skins. They honestly look really good. Congratulations again to all the people that earned the skins, that won the skins, except for, obviously, the cheater. It is what it is. But anyways, guys, that's going to be it for this video. Thanks again for watching. I definitely highly recommend you pull for Senya if you didn't see her already. She looks amazing. But otherwise, congratulations to everyone who will be getting these new skins, or good luck to anyone that's trying to get these skins. And yeah, thanks again for watching, guys. I'll see you on the next one. Stay safe, stay healthy. Good night.